Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Two old Missouri rednecks were complaining about their veterinarian. Homer says, "I couldn't get my mule to take the pill he was supposed to have. So Doc Jones told me to put the pill in a tube and blow it straight down the mule's throat." Elvis says, "Sounds like a good idea to me." And Homer says, "Not if the mule blows first." Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in on a Tuesday. Good morning. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell on a Tuesday. Already half the month of January gone, January 16th. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, ready to serve you for your wintertime driving. You stop in and see them today. And also don't forget some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and the staff at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Give them a call. They can help you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
Hey, go ahead, my friend.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job. Thanks, Wheels. And right now, let's go to the weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Attaboy, Zeb. Just look at the word. It's right there. And they're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. The number to call, Roger and the crew, and get more information about maybe you don't know what tools and equipment you need, and they can help you just explain it. And believe me, they've got all the knowledge and experience and the tools to help you at K&R Rental. Number to call, 678-3122. We'll tell you more after this, but here's Gina with the weather.
Really liking these warm winter days, but we need to see some precipitation in the forecast. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at some areas of fog this morning. That's going to turn to mostly sunny skies by this afternoon. We are expecting a high of 47. Tonight's mostly cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 51. Overnight low of 32. For Thursday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers in the morning, turning to mostly sunny skies by the afternoon with a high of 32. 70% chance of rain, possible snow showers for Thursday evening, low of 34. That could carry over for Friday morning. Going to be breezy as well with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And I appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. Brought to you by Roger and the gang over at K&R Rental. Absolutely right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. And you can contact them at this number, and they'll tell you all about the tools and equipment you may need. So they've got all the top name brands ready to serve you. 678-3122, K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. You get a hold of them today. By the way, I also want to do a little bragging right here about our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. My. They absolutely are the best at what they do, anytime, all the time, in cleaning your clothes, getting the stains out of your clothes, and maybe your curtains and your tablecloths and everything. Maybe it was a messy holiday, and maybe you need to get everything spruced up before you put it away for next year. So stop in to Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Kevin and Cindy, the best at what they do. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. On Thursday, don't forget the big livestock sale coming up at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Oh, they're going to have a ripping good sale this week on Thursday, probably starting at about 10 o'clock. I'll talk to Merv on tomorrow evening. He'll give me all the particulars. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. Merv May, Cade Rogge, Lance Udy, the sale that does work for you. Give them a call. Burley Livestock Sale Yard, sale on Thursdays. It's still happening in this country, and the Democrats don't seem to care. And the laziness from the Republicans not stopping it. I'm talking about illegal aliens freely coming into this country, many of which have been deported 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and are felons and criminals moving to or running to sanctuary cities. I don't know if you heard this story. A lot of the networks didn't cover it, especially like MSNBC, CNN, etc. But an illegal alien immigrant, was on a Greyhound bus, and he stood up and commandeered the bus, threatened to shoot and kill everybody, and he was headed from my old home state of Wisconsin into the sanctuary state and city of Chicago, Illinois. This worthless person, and he is, deported 5 times and had been arrested on drug convictions and everything else, absolutely commandeered the bus. He faces terror charges because by the time they finally laid down the spike strips and stopped the bus and arrested him, these people on the bus were in absolute terror. They were so afraid that there was going to be a major accident and that, quite frankly, the bus would roll, etc. And all he was trying to do is just get to a sanctuary city and state like Chicago, Illinois, with Rahm Emanuel. And that way, living in the sanctuary city, he would be free. And he would be welcome. Deported 5 times, a criminal. And that's what these cities are aiding and abetting. This is insane. And it's got to stop. And I don't care what party affiliation. The only reason the Democrats are welcoming all these people in here illegally or whatever is to buy more votes. Let's call it what it is. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's got to stop. This world, our country, in trouble. And we are aiding and abetting, like I said a minute ago, more of the trouble right here in our area. What happened to the laws? Oh, it's okay for some to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. It's got to stop. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at 2600 Overland in Burley with the telephone number 678-0459. They're open 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And don't forget, whatever you need, they've been in business for well over a half a century. They know, they have the material, they have the knowledge to serve you. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, sir.
I don't know what to say. You know, I got to tell you something before you start, Doug. I will not abide, and I'm not going to be cowed, and I'm not going to be bullied by any group, any person, any organization that kowtows to the illegalities that are going on in this country and asking me not to say or speak out about certain subjects. This has got to stop, Doug.
It does. It really does. And you can see the black employment's down to the lowest levels. It's down around 6%. And you take these inner cities, and I was listening to Laura Ingraham last night. She had some phone calls from her radio show, and there's a lot of them stating that most of the people that are employed on these construction sites are illegals.
Yeah.
That's why, blacks and residents can't get the jobs, because the other ones will work cheaper than what they do.
We are, and caller number 2, I want to just speak to the other caller, Doug. Don't go away. I promise I'll get to you in just a moment. But, we're exacerbating the problem by turning, like I said a moment ago, the blind eye and the deaf ear. Oh, well, this industry can't survive unless we get that. Wait a minute. It's okay for you and I to get picked up for doing 60 and a 55. We're breaking the law, and we deserve to be picked up. But it's okay for them, the industries that are asking for this labor, and nobody wants to say a word or do anything about it because, we just need to let them go.
Well, you need to follow the money, Zeb, to get this thing taken care of. The lobbyists for the Chamber of Commerce, the National Chamber of Commerce, are lining these pockets of the lawmakers so that they can keep the people here. We need people in Washington, D.C. that go back and represent the people instead of going back and representing themselves.
Well, it's not only on the Potomac. Let's not just discriminate against one area. It's also happening right here in our state of Idaho. We need a big broom and a dustpan because we've got our own problems to clean up.
We do, and we need people to represent us and enforce the rule of law. We do not need people there going into these senates and representatives and even Idaho local and national.
I am so sick and tired of the politics of a wink and a nod. I'm not saying that all are involved in that, but there's a great many that just basically, again, using it redundantly, a blind eye and a deaf ear and a wink and a nod. Oh, well, that's okay. We'll overlook that. Why in the heck should we have any laws if they're going to be overlooked?
This is exactly right. Do you want a lawless society, or do you want one that follows the law?
Absolutely.
And it goes clear to the top, clear to the bottom. Everybody should be equal under the law.
I've just had it. When I hear stories about illegal aliens either shooting someone or running over someone, killing them with a car, and they're stoned out of their mind, either on drugs or drunk, and they shouldn't be here. I mean, and then the soothing application of the story by the Democrats, are you saying that wouldn't have happened with just a citizen of this country? What are they talking about? We've got illegals here that don't belong here. It's criminal that they're here.
It is. And there are programs in place where you can bring them in to work, but you've got to bring them in legally.
Yeah, and let me tell you something else right now, my friend. Did you watch I'm so upset about this, because here's the height of hypocrisy. Last night on Tucker Carlson, and Carlson dropped the ball on this. He did not do the interview the way it should have been done. He had an illegal alien that was an attorney that had studied here in this country at one of our major universities to get a law degree, and he's illegal, and he is sitting there telling us on TV last night what we, the citizenry, and this Trump administration needs to do on immigration. That's the height of hypocrisy.
It is. How can someone illegal acquire a license to practice law in the United States?
Holy man. Help me. The boat is sinking, and everybody's just asking for more water. It just doesn't make any sense. I got another call waiting, Doug. I want you to call back, though. I want to visit more about this.
Hey, everybody, let's take care of our senior centers.
Okay. Okay.
we can.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, I didn't mean to keep you waiting. Just stand by. I'll be right there. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland and Burley and 291 Pool Line Road in Twin Falls. Absolutely great food. I'm telling you, great food. Lots of it. Great menu choices. And boy, oh boy, breakfast, lunch, and dinner anytime, all the time. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner. And we're going to be over there for our lunch bunch on the 25th, next week. Yes. Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant. But you can stop in anytime you want. Absolutely great eating at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland and Burley and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. Caller, you've been very patient. Thank you so much.
Okay, good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I think one of the major problems we've got with the Republican Party is we've got too many enemies there, and Donald Trump can't get a whole lot of things going.
That's right.
Now, what's beginning to trouble me is now Romney wants to run for Norman Hatch's position. Now, Romney is an enemy of Donald Trump.
Yep.
And the Republican Party is going to have another enemy within its own party.
More division.
And stuff like this is what's bothering the hell out of me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I heard and read some of the comments that Romney had made, and to be honest with you, for the division that he's causing and the problems and the lack of respect that he's causing, I think I've lost my respect for Mitt Romney.
Well, I think what his whole position is to turn the entire Mormon religion against Donald Trump, and I hope this isn't what he's got in mind.
Well, I don't care if it's a religious issue or not. I just don't like the lack of respect and the lack of leadership that Romney, of all people, I thought exemplified, and I think he's done a very serious disservice to his followers and other people by his attitude and his actions. We've got a man right now, Tony. Look at the TV, go to the stock channel, and check out the stock market channel and follow the Dow. It has hit an all-time high this morning of over 26,000, and yet people will never give this presidency and his economic outlook any credit whatsoever. You won't hear any good stories on MSNBC, CNN, CBS, ABC. It doesn't make any difference. They absolutely will spend more time on all the negativity, and they won't get people uplifted about the positives that are going on in this nation.
Well, too bad we couldn't expose the bank accounts of these leftists we got to show just how much benefit that Donald Trump has provided for them.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't imagine. And I'm going to talk about the millennials in just a few minutes, but it's absolutely sickening to me that we're allowing illegal activity to happen in this country. We're denigrating a president that's trying to change things with his administration, not only to make our economy better, but to make our nation safer. And yet everybody's worried about his comment regarding whole countries. I just don't understand what's going on, Tony.
Well, the people don't realize that the freedoms we have right now, we're about to lose them, and when we lose them, they're gone forever.
I agree. Totally. I got to pay some bills, buddy. Thank you for your call.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Always appreciate you. Calls are welcome. No, seriously, folks. I don't like to say this, but we're going to heck in a handbasket, and nobody seems to really care. Oh, well, that's a law? Well, we'll just bend that a little bit and turn the other way. You go ahead and you increase your numbers, etc. But woe and betide, anybody break the law, speeding or whatever, there's a law for that there, Buster, and you're going to pay the price. This is insane. Don't forget Dino Septic Service, and they're located in Rupert. Oh, my goodness. I say it every day. They do the job that you and I don't want to do. No. Fast, fair-friendly service with septic tanks being pumped and water and sewer lines installed. They've got a backhoe service. Sewer and sink drains lines are cleaned and liquid waste removal. And by the way, they recently got bigger and bigger and better to serve you. Recently purchased Dennis Dockstedter's pumping service. So, man, I mean, they are good. Dino Septic Service in Rupert. Call them at 436-6526. Or in Burley at 678-1638. Absolutely the best. Oh, that leads me right into some other people that are absolutely the best. And I'm talking about Pomerel Place, a place for senior living. You know, I really care about senior citizens. I guess now that I am one, and I've been blessed, I'm still at home with my lovely bride. But, you know, for those that are alone and maybe have lost a spouse, and you got to worry about their isolation, their loneliness, and the safety hazards around the house being all alone, and whether they're getting the proper nutrition or maybe not taking all their medication. Hey, wait a minute, stop the bus. Be sure and call Pomerel Place, a place for senior living that offers the ability for seniors to maintain their independence both safely and comfortably. The number to call, 677-8212. Pomerel Place, 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One thing I want to say right now. I get a lot of criticism from the left and the loons. And they can go ahead and they can write all they want on Facebook, and they can write all they want on little emails condemning and damning me, etc. That's fine. But I'm not going to give you, the audience, false information. And I'm going to give you a conservative opinion. I don't believe in liberalness. I don't believe in their attitude. I don't believe in the destruction of America for them to remake it in a mold that absolutely is against our Constitution and our value system. So, this old man ain't going to change. And I'm not going to pander to some or groups. I was reading yesterday that millennials, and boy, this is really, really spooky. 51% of the millennials, they want to see capitalism in America absolutely thrown away, trashed, and socialism take over. These not-so-brights are condemning a land where capitalism and freedom has reigned for well over 250 years. And I would love to sit down with a millennial socialist today and just do nothing but show him the upward arrow of the stock market and the values of how our economy is taking off. And all people are sharing and reaping the benefits of a greater economy. Like I said a moment ago, the Dow over 26,000 this morning. More money in people's pockets, more investment, more job growth, more company growth, more people coming down to say, I think I'll start my business next month. And yet the millennials, being shortchanged on brains and education by absolutely liberal loon professors, they want to see this country turned and changed into a socialist nation. Dumb. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, we talk about them at the beginning of every hour. Oh, my, they're good. And maybe you took a little fall out there on the ice, or maybe you thought you could lift that and you did, and now you wish you wouldn't have. Well, I'll tell you what, if it's a sprain, a strain, or a broken bone, or recovering from surgery, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation with Nick Greenwell and all the top-notch physical therapists can help you get back to being you. And they've got that excellent hydrotherapy pool. Man, I waved the flag for that hydrotherapy pool. It really got me back on my legs. I'm telling you it did. It's excellent. Well, they can help. They will help. Don't forget to give them a call, make an appointment, 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Really, really good folks. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Morning, Zeb. I'll have to disagree with Tony with Mitt Romney running for the seat down in Utah. I don't think he's going to carry too many LDS people. I'm LDS and I can't talk for all of them, but what he has done is not right. He's turning more like Harry Reid all the time, and Harry Reid's LDS too, and I know a lot of LDS people don't agree with what Harry Reid's done, so I'm hoping that he won't carry Utah down there and he won't get that seat.
You know,
he backed up Holoquist up here. Why I was kind of looking at Holoquist as the governor candidate, but as soon as Mitt Romney backed him and said he's the man, why I backed off.
Yeah.
I'm looking somewhere else because I don't think Romney's the way that we want to go.
Well, let me say this to you, and I think you'll respect what I'm saying and thinking. I don't think you can ever say on this program that I've tied any candidacy into any religion, regardless of what it is. I don't care if it's LDS, Catholic, Lutheran, Episcopalian. I don't care. I don't get into people's religion. I look at the policies and the politics. But I will say this. With Mitt Romney as a very dividing source right now in the Republican Party, I hope that he does not win the Senate seat.
Well, I agree, and that's one reason that I have done what I've done. I don't want him around either because he is a dividing seat, and we don't need that. I agree with what you're saying about Trump. He has got our economy back on track. Everybody's working out here that will work. It may not be the best, but we're only into it a year, so it can only go up from here, the way I look at it.
You know, you just said something I want you to elaborate on quickly. We've got people that are working that will work. Those are the words you used. And right there, I want you to elaborate on that. I am so pathetically sick and tired of what's happened in this country to disregard a work ethic, and a lot of people just don't care anymore because they know they can get the handouts. How do we re-implement a work ethic to use God talents that he's given people so they can enjoy a career of success on their own?
That I couldn't tell you, Zeb. And I think that you or maybe Doug said that the African Americans, they're down to 6% on the unemployment. Did I hear that correctly?
Well, we're way below on the unemployment levels in this country, and a lot of that is because a lot of people have left the job-seeking force, and they're just living on the dole, and that's the part of our society that's got to change.
Well, I agree, but you was talking about the sanctuary cities.
Right.
And I was thinking that either you or Doug both said that, or one of you said that the black unemployment went down to 6%, and they're still bringing in the illegal aliens that are taking the black people's jobs. Yeah,
Doug had mentioned that, and really it's true. I heard the same thing last night on the news, that it makes no sense to me in a society that is absolutely craving for betterment in certain sections of our economy, that, like Chicago as a matter of fact, people are doing nothing except sitting on their front porches with guns and shooting across the street when they should be working and taking care of their family.
Well, and that surprises me that 6% of the black people, and I'm not calling them lazy. I've seen black people, and they work as hard as what the rest of us do, Zeb. But in the situation they're in, if they're down to 6%, they're willing to go out there and work. And does that mean that the unemployment and the welfare has been cut back enough that they have to go out there and work now? I'm not up on speed like what you guys are.
Well, you know, and another point of interest here, and it ties and dovetails right into what I've said on this program for a long, long time, is that I said 3 years ago, and I checked it out and went through all my books and found the exact date that we talked about this. I said that there needs to be a case-by-case study of those that are on welfare, because we've got a lot of deadbeats and derelicts that are abusing the system, and the money saving alone from weeding these people out and forcing them to be self-responsible and get a job absolutely would create a much more stimulus in our economy.
I agree with that. But you look at the state of Idaho alone, I would say the people that are on welfare, most of them are probably illegal aliens. I'm not real sure on what the stats are on them, but I would bet most of them could go out here and work if they would.
Well, and you can go a step further, my friend. Look at the refugee system in this country. And for these people like CSI and the Twin Falls City Council and these others, you know, that say, oh, well, we're going to welcome them. Wait a minute. Somebody's got to foot the bill. I don't care if they call it grant money. The American taxpayer had to put that money up for the grant money in the first place. I don't care if they get free rent, they get free housing, they get their education. Wait a minute. Who funded money for your family and my family? Nobody.
No one. And I agree, and I still don't think Trump said what everybody says he said. He may have said something, but they've taken it out of context, and they've elaborated on it, and he's saying everything that you and I have been wanting to say all along, and he's got the chair that he can do it, and I admire the man for what he's doing.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now. I have right here in my hand, for those watching on television, on the internet, I have a camera mounted right here. I'm going to hold it up. I have a 7-page study of all the things that have been recorded from presidents all the way back to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Clinton, etc., and all the faux pas that they created verbally when they used language that they shouldn't have. So, that being said, Trump said this supposedly, and he's the worst president ever for his verbiage. Give me a break.
Well, I agree with that. Wasn't it the Waters up there? I don't know what her name, something Waters. Wasn't she using the F word? Said, well, that's the way people talk now.
Yeah, Maxine Waters.
I'm just talking like people so they can understand me. That's the way people talk.
You know, you talk about Maxine Waters and whether it's John Lewis or that real dipstick, Frederica Wilson out of Florida, that always slanders cowboys because she wears a goofy-looking cowboy hat. All they've done is denigrate their constituency by saying, well, we're not going to go to the State of the Union because we don't like Trump. Wait a minute. They represent the people, not themselves, and they should be removed from office.
Well, I agree with that, but obviously people are still voting them in.
Well, I can't imagine why and or how, but the more people they get in here illegally on the voting rolls, yeah, it looks like they're going to stay in office for a long time. And in the case of Lewis and Maxine Waters and Wilson, boy, there's a good, clear-cut, concise case for having term limits.
Well, and going back to Mitt Romney, why he'd be the next one for term limits as far as I'm concerned if he gets that seat, because like you said, he's the dividing vote so it's not going to be good if they vote him in down there. So, but I hope that the LDS people down there are looking at that and not vote just for the LDS church.
Yeah.
You know. So let's all hope and pray that that's what they're doing, Zeb.
I appreciate your call as always, my friend. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. You know, I've got to get this in real quick. I know they're listening, and I want to say the urgent cares. We are blessed in this area to have 3 locations to serve you, your family, and your work. That's right. Urgent cares. Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland in Burley. Urgent care of Jerome at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. And urgent care of Twin Falls, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin. And they can help you to save money on your health care. Absolutely. From stitches to sprains, strains, fractures, chemical burns, care for the whole family, drug screening, DOT physicals. Hey, they are there to serve you. You get treated, not seated. No appointment necessary, and open 7 days a week with extended hours. They are there to serve you, and they've done a wonderful job of doing that. So please remember the urgent cares. 3 locations: Riverview Urgent Care in Burley, Urgent Care of Jerome, and Urgent Care of Twin Falls. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it's just me, but have you noticed when they have a Democrat strategist and a Republican, and they're talking over a policy of President Trump, how the Democrat strategist only goes to personal attacks on Trump, not policy attacks?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking of a Jessica Tarlett that was on television last night. She's a great, big, tall, thin woman, and she absolutely just loves to go and brandish the sword against Donald Trump and or any conservative policies. And I'm thinking of many, many others. Richard Flowers, I think his name is Flowers or Flowers, I'm not sure. He is a black Democratic strategist that absolutely finds the ire of me because he demands and controls the airwaves with vicious thoughts against anything this Trump administration is doing.
Well, yeah, and they're really not against his policies. They're just against him personally.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the other night I was listening, yesterday afternoon I thought, now this is odd. They're talking about some policies of President Trump and how it's helping the black communities, and the only thing this Democrat strategist could talk about was what Trump says and his mannerisms.
Yeah.
And how he's a racist. And then Mark Levin, he was on the other night, and he done a great job of laying this out. And people, what's going on right now with this Russia investigation and what's happened during the last election, we should be terrified that our government is getting that powerful.
You know what? Whoa, stop right there. If the Uranium One deal and the money that has gone under the table, under the rug, through the closet, and into the Clinton Foundation is not investigated, and all the people in the shadows that worked with the Russian government and the collusion with the Democrats and the uranium going to a foreign port, and a little bit of uranium could come back here in the form of a bomb and destroy the inner workings of New York City. I mean, what in the world is going on here that we're not investigating that with every person possible?
Exactly. They should, if they're going to investigate Russian collusion, it should not be just a one-party investigation. It should be Russian collusion on both parties' investigation.
You know, Doug, honestly, don't you get out of bed in the morning, and I know you're a Christian, and I certainly try to be, but you got to shake your head sometimes, and Deanna and I were talking about this last night. Every day there is more of the chaos that's being put up by the left to tear apart the fabric of goodness in this country.
Exactly. They do not want America to be as powerful as it is. They want America to be a third world country so then they can get a one world government.
Yeah.
You can't have a one world government if you have one country that's stronger than everybody else.
I got to laugh and giggle a little bit here because I never will forget a conversation I had about a year ago, and a person called me and they said, well, you've got to, keyword got to, you've got to be more lenient on your programming. You've got to let the other side come on and just not say anything and let them have their viewpoint. I said, wait a minute. It's my show. My opinion. I don't like the liberal left. I don't like democratic policies. I don't like those people, and I'm not going to be a phony and say that I do or allow them to speak without having a good arbitrary debate.
Well, that's just it. They can't debate.
And they won't.
They will not, because they have not a leg to stand on.
That's right.
And I mean, they better, well, I hope they don't, but if they're going to be a vibrant party in the future of this country, they better pull their head out and start smelling and seeing what's going on in the world.
I got to do a weather forecast, but I'm going to tell you something. Coming up in just a matter of months, we're leaning and leading into the November 2018 midterms. I will bet you and your lovely wife dinner on me that I can put out the plea for the Democrats to come on my program and explain their positions, but I will bet you no takers.
Exactly. That's the same way with Fox News when they have a deal going on and they'll call in one side of it and they also put out the deal. We ask the other side and they failed to come on.
Absolutely. Got to run. I'm late. Thanks, Doug.
God bless.
All right, buddy. Calls are welcome. Give me a call. Hey, Barry Equipment and Rental, sales, service, and parts, and they've got locations at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Juan. And 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin. And Nampa. Great folks up there at Nampa we say good morning to. And their tagline, we don't just do our best, we do yours. Absolutely. They are Idaho's premier Bobcat and Doosan equipment sales, service, and parts rental dealership, and they want to help you with all the equipment you need to get the job done right. They've got all the Bobcat excavators, new and used, for sale or rent. Get a hold of them today. Barry Equipment and Rental, like I said, in Twin Falls, Nampa, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Barry Equipment and Rental. I got to get a weather forecast on here. Holy moly, Zeb, look at the clock. You're running late. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids with the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup. Oh, does she know sound? She's the doctor of audiology right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call, 312-0957. And they are dedicated to serving people with hearing loss of all ages and their families. So please get a hold of them today, 312-0957. Here's Gina with the weather.
Really liking these warm winter days, but we need to see some precipitation in the forecast. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at some areas of fog this morning. That's going to turn to mostly sunny skies by this afternoon. We are expecting a high of 47. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 51. Overnight low of 32. For Thursday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers in the morning, turning to mostly sunny skies by the afternoon with a high of 32. 70% chance of rain, possible snow showers for Thursday evening, low of 34. That could carry over for Friday morning. Going to be breezy as well with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
She does a good weather forecast. Thank you, Gina. At Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right now with their new testing abilities, they can help diagnose one of the common causes of vertigo. Check it out, and they can help you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, the number to call for an appointment, 312-0957. Calls are welcome, 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I waited and hesitated on this story because it brings me to tears. When I hear stories like this, I get so mad that you just want to clench your fist and hit something. 13 young people, ranging in ages, I believe, from 2 and 3 years of age, maybe 4, all the way up to 29 years of age, were chained to beds in a Paris, California home in filthy, absolutely less than animal-like conditions. Chained to a bed. One of the 17-year-old children, a girl, got loose, escaped, ran and called police to help her siblings get out of the squalor. Police thought that the girl was about 10 years of age. It turned out she was so emaciated and so shrunken She was 17. And like I said, the ages range from 2 years of age to 29 years old. Chained to a bed. There is no hell that is severe enough for these parents. They're not parents. They're vile, filthy human beings. How could a man and a woman treat their children with such absolutely... I got to be careful on my verbiage. I'm just sickened by this. I hope the legal system does all they can to be so severe to these people that they'll wish they had died and then spend eternity in hell. What they've done to these young people, destroyed their lives, is absolutely abhorrent. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I can't even imagine the horror of what these children have gone through. And they're not children, young adults, many of them. Down to 2 years of age, chained to beds like dogs. Pathetic. Please give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, and we're very thankful to them. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations. Now, don't let wintertime driving kind of sneak up behind you and go, oops. Make sure you've got the best of traction tires for the roads, the road ice, the snow, the muck, and the yuck. They've got them all. For your cars, pickups, SUVs, all the traction tires. Just stop in and visit with them, and they'll tell you exactly what they think would be the best for your driving. And, of course, with that, they've got the best in brake service. Yes, highly trained brake professionals that know how to repair, fix, and replace brakes. Absolutely. And the best of front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Oh, yeah, all the batteries you need. All 7 locations serving you, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I guess some people are saying this is a sign of our sinful times. Listen to this story. The city council in Longwood, Florida, said, well, we want to be more inclusive. Why, we want to have everybody be a part of our meetings in our city and feel like they're all welcome. So what did they do? Their first order of business was to stop having a prayer before the meeting. They were embarrassed, I guess, to ask for God's help in running the city. So they turned their back on God and said, well, we want to be all-inclusive to all people. Well, goodbye, God. Don't let the door hit you. And stopped having the prayer. You know, that's the problem with America today. We've kind of said to God, well, we don't need you anymore. Why, we're so great. We're elitists. We know everything. Believe in God. Come on, who cares about God? We don't need him. We're not going to pray at a meeting. We're not going to allow a coach to pray at midfield with his team after a game. Cut that God stuff out. And then we wonder why we're having the problems that we're having in this world and specifically in this country today. It's because people have swept God out of their lives. And the rest of us that believe in God and His Son Jesus Christ and saving, we've kind of let it happen. We've let it happen. We've turned the other cheek too many times. Coming up next hour, we're going to have a man on the air by the name of Dave Duquette, and we're going to be talking about a project that they have called Protect the Harvest. I think you'll find it very interesting. At 9:30, we start our first of many Idaho legislative updates. This morning, talking to Senator Kelly Anthon, and our thanks to our sponsors, Clay Handy and Handy Truck Lines. Thank you so much. At 10 o'clock, we've got Dr. History that's going to be storming through the door to have our weekly segment. And then we're going to talk about DACA, the Dreamers, and the Wall, if not or none of the above, with Maria Espinoza. Going to be a great, great day for the rest of the program. We urge you to call in and enjoy. And let's see, what else have I got cooking here? Tomorrow, don't forget tomorrow, our good friend is going to be here for his monthly trek out into the wilderness, and that's, of course, Kelton Hatch with the Fish and Game coming up at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. So we got a bunch of great things coming up. Right now, let's turn it back over to Wheels at our main studio, taking us up to news. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, howdy, howdy. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and be prepared for wintertime driving. Absolutely. And, of course, we also say thank you to one of our great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Hello, Nick and the crew. Great, great people at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. We're going to have our guest with us in just a moment. Coming up on Thursday, we're going to start a brand new segment on our program with Intermountain Cassia Regional Medical Center, providing you and your family excellent health care, answers, and services. They're right here close to home. That's right, Cassia Regional Medical Center offers the latest technological advances in medicine, like their new oncology programs and telehealth, which uses electronic information and telecommunications to promote long-distance patient and clinical health care. Your friends, your neighbors. Cassia Regional Medical Center, quality care close to home. And don't forget, tune in Thursdays at 9:18 for Cassia Regional Medical Center, getting to know more about them and how they serve you. Also, real quick, we want to remind everybody about our dear friends at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, number to remember, number to write down, 436-5636. When there's the passing of a loved one, they are there always to serve you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please call them today and find out more information on the pre-planning of funerals, something we all need to do. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, and Joel also serving you at Morrison Payne on East Main in Burley. Let's go to the phone line right now, and I really am excited to have this gentleman on the program and find out more about him and what they do. Oh, I made a mistake. Dave, sit tight. I got one more good word. If I don't do this, I'm going to be in trouble. Wheels, let's hit the button for our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, my goodness sakes, yes, let's not forget our friends at Western Waste with the dumpsters. Maybe you need to clean out your basement, your garage. Maybe I need to clean out my office. Holy moly, get the big dumpster. They've got them in various sizes, and they can bring them out to your location. You fill them up, and then they'll come get them. Absolutely the best. always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, you give them a call, 734-6969. Now we're all ready to go to Dave Duquette over in Oregon. Dave, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, Deb. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure. Sir, tell me a little bit about an organization that you belong to called Protect the Harvest. What does that mean?
Well, it means a lot of things, Deb. We're a very active group. We were founded by the owner of Lucas Oil, Forrest Lucas, and he founded Protect the Harvest when he figured out what the animal rights groups, the environmentalists, were doing to kind of destroy our way of life and take away our freedoms as far as animal ownership, but also as far as animal agriculture, hunting and fishing rights, things like that. So we are one of the most active organizations out there, and was started in 2010, and in the short span of the 8 years, we've become probably one of the leading groups out there, and our whole goal is to bring all the smaller groups together, all the smaller organizations, associations, things like that, into one pile to address issues, and that's working very well for us right now.
Okay. Dave, I must ask you, are you on a speakerphone?
I am.
Turn that off and go directly to the headset because it's causing an echo.
I'm here.
Okay, good.
Is that better?
Yeah, a lot better. Dave, tell us a little bit about some of the problems that your organization has incurred with some of the people and groups like Humane Society for the United States. And I might preface my question to you by saying, for years and years I've been in the rodeo business, and we have had to have a real arbitration with these people that want to shut down animal usage, and they're already got their foot in the door to stop circuses with the elephants, etc. How bad are these people like HSUS that you're trying to arbitrate with and fight?
Well, I wouldn't say we're arbitrating with them because they're I wouldn't use that word. These folks, just as an example with the zoos, they just wormed the president of the Humane Society just wormed his way into being on the board of the largest zoo association there is. So take any kind of association you're with and think about it being the overarching group in whatever you do. So we have it's called the ZAA, Zoos and Aquariums of America. Mm-hmm. They or the AZA, is the one that there's two of those groups out there. And he is now on the board of directors for the AZA. And the interesting part about that is that he has publicly stated he wants all zoos shut down. Now, why would they let him on the board of their association? Well, an Obama holdover, or not a holdover, an Obama-era guy that was the head of the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Dan Ash, somehow got to be their executive director, and now he's in there. And so he was good friends with Wayne Pasali from Humane Society, and they brought him in to help finish things off on these people. And a lot of the big zoos are very, very worried about what's going on there. So my whole point is the other group is the good group. The ZAA is really good, and they are not falling for the old proverbial banana in the tailpipe trick with the Humane Society. Yeah. They're not falling into their ranks. So they're some of the biggest zoos there are moving away from the one organization, which is the largest of those organizations, has more accredited zoos than anybody, and they're moving to the other group, which is becoming bigger now because of this. But the big people don't realize. I mean, the whole blackfish deal down in SeaWorld, where they've stopped the orcas from breeding in captivity or anything like that. They don't realize how much conservation goes into a zoo. There's animals that wouldn't even be alive right now. They'd be
Yeah.
totally extinct if it wasn't for zoos.
Absolutely.
And these animal rights groups want them gone.
Dave, I have said for a long time on my program, and I'd like to get your response to this, pardon me, that I thought it was wrong, totally wrong for Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey circuses to kowtow to the animal rights activists and slowly but surely diminish the elephants from the circuses. And now it will be a chain effect and kind of a stepladder effect to where others will be diminished to where circuses will no longer exist. My attitude has been never ever give a foothold to these people with their malicious attitude of absolutely stopping anything with animals as far as usage and potentially animal ownership. They want to stop it all. Am I wrong?
Yes. They want to stop all animal ownership for sure. But what happened with Ringling Brothers is Ringling Brothers won that RICO lawsuit several years ago against the Humane Society, and where they put a plant in there, and then they paid a guy, to be on there, a witness. Basically, what's going on with Trump right now. So, these people are paying people to be witnesses, and they found they've got a RICO suit. They won a RICO suit against them, which is a big deal, a racketeering suit. And they ended up, between the two organizations, the judgment was for about $25 million that Ringling Brothers got. And they were going to go along, but what's happened, Zeb, is it's not so much what the Humane Society, the way they're going about it. They're very tactical. They're very smart people, and they're very tactical. Whether you agree with them or not, they're very tactical and very smart. And what they've done is they've gone at the city level, the city or the county level, and they've gone in and run ballot initiatives or, state bills or city bills, or got in the city council, somebody bought off or somebody doing to stop elephants and those kind of animals, exotics, from coming through their city or coming to their city.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they've gone now. They knew they got their butts handed to them on some big stuff by organizations like ours. And now they've gone to the city level. So that's what killed Ringling Brothers. They were not able, you couldn't even transport elephants through some cities.
Yeah. But
because they made a law. That's where they're going now. So, everybody's got to be vigilant to make sure that we do not allow these kind of bills and these kind of things to slip through our local legislature.
Okay, but that's easier.
That's a tough task for any organization to get out there and spend millions and millions to make sure people understand that they shouldn't be allowing this kind of stuff.
I agree with you. But Dave, what you just said a minute ago needs to be elaborated on, because if they are going through the city councils and other ordinances, etc., why aren't the people more aware of what's going on? And why aren't the city leaderships more aware of what they're nodding yes for? Are we that dumb that we can't read a bill?
I think it's a more what they've done is they found a way to get to people that aren't paying attention, and they make things sound really good. It's just like in California, they just passed, and they're trying to do it. They tried to do it in Idaho on the ag-gag law.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things out there that they're pushing in different places, and down in California, they passed that law where you cannot sell a purebred pup in a pet store anymore. You cannot have one in a storefront. You can still sell your purebred dogs, but you got to sell them from home. You can't sell them in a pet store. The only thing you can sell in a pet store in California now is a rescue animal, a rescue dog, a rescue cat, or a rescue rabbit. Those are the three pets they can sell in a pet store now.
Oh my goodness!
California.
My goodness!
And that is just asinine as far as I'm concerned. It's just you see these people that pass these bills. You see people No, I just saw a picture of Joe Biden or somebody. It was somebody. I think it was Joe Biden, and he had a corgi standing next to him. Well, you know that thing's not a mutt. It's a purebred dog.
Yeah.
But yet they're out there supporting these groups. You know, and we have to. The public is just being, you know, they're just being duped. Is the best, probably the best word for it.
Hey,
Just don't realize what's going on, and like I said, and your question was, how come people are not paying attention? People just don't pay attention. They got their daily life to look for and deal with. And the problem that we have is, how do we educate them in a very short period of time, you know, seconds, not minutes, educate them on some of these issues so that when they go to the ballot box or they get that ballot, the mail-in ballot or whatever, because in Oregon it's a mail-in deal. So so they know, you know, and I'm a very politically astute person. I pay attention to a lot of that. But I get those ballots in the mail, and there's 25 things on there, and I have no idea what most of them are.
You know, and Dave, let me say this, and you can dissect my statement, but I have said many times on my program that if we're not careful and we're not cognizant of what's going on, the 4-H clubs, the showing of a steer or a lamb at a county fair, the FFA, maybe someone team roping in their backyard like I do 4 or 5 nights a week. All of that can be put asunder and stopped if we're not more diligent and start paying attention.
Exactly. No doubt. There is no doubt. People think, oh, well, they'll never get this done here. Well, you know what? I don't think the calf ropers that live up in the northeast of our country, really thought that just because they live in Massachusetts or New Jersey or something, there's a lot of rural country up there in those states. They're not all, it's just like out here in Oregon and Washington, you know, the majority of the state's rural, but the population is all concentrated in the, you know, cities, so that's where all the votes come from. But you don't realize those calf roping, you can't even practice calf roping at your house.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
Yeah. You know,
in several of those eastern states.
But
so that's how they set a precedent. They're setting a precedent out there. They'll move this direction. It's the same thing they did that I fought 7 years ago with the horse tripping deal. Mm-hmm. You know, they tried to say that everybody was tripping horses when they weren't. And, you know, Jordan Valley, the Big Loop, all of that stuff, there was a lot of, they were going to shut them down. They were going to criminalize that whole deal. And that, you know, they caused a lot of change there.
Dave,
and, I mean, people got to realize that it's not impossible. These guys, these cowboys and these ranchers, they think, oh, well, nobody will ever get to us. Well, I'll call BS on that.
Yeah.
They're going to get to us if we don't all band together and fight.
Absolutely. I want you to elaborate a little bit.
Pay attention to and support an organization like Protect the Harvest, even if it's not our organization. We're the biggest and the most powerful. We got the most snort and the best caucus to deal with.
Right.
But, you know, for agriculture. But my point is if you don't want to have to pay attention to this stuff, don't complain when something goes away.
Absolutely.
If you're not supporting an organization like ours.
Absolutely. Dave, in the time remaining, I don't think people are also very aware that there is a concentrated effort by a lot of people that have a lot of money, and they want to eliminate any what they call ownership of any animals here in this country. Elaborate on that a little bit, would you?
Well, Zeb, they want a totally vegan society. They've said it. Wayne Pacelli has said it publicly. He says he's for the and this is the president of the Humane Society. And everybody thinks they're the group that takes care of animals. Well, he's said it publicly that he is for the total eradication of all domestic animals. That means dogs, cats, horses, cows, any meat animals or agriculture producing, animals, all gone. He said 1 generation and out, and it could be done. So 1 generation, he's saying just stop breeding everything, and it's done. In 10 years, it's done. And that's their mentality. And they raise a lot of money. They get, $150 million a year in donations.
Yeah.
And we've taken that down some between us and another group called Humane Watch. But Zeb, real quick, one of the biggest issues we're working on right now is the ELD, the electronic log device, and what it's going to do to agriculture and what it's going to do to the horse industry.
Right.
And I get every day, I've gotten 3 to 4 emails or phone calls from people that are getting tickets right and left. They've had to stop. Old man from New Mexico needed to go get some cattle in Tennessee. Drove through Arkansas, got pulled over in a single rear wheel pickup it was a 1-ton, so it was rated over 10,000 pounds. It was 10,200 pounds rating. Had an 8 by 24 foot stock trailer. He was going to go pick up some cows he bought and drive back.
Right.
He got pulled over in Arkansas. He had to hire someone to come and get his truck because he didn't have all the proper stuff in the CDL for a truck, and his trailer was 16,400 pounds. So he was 26,500 pounds total.
Okay, quickly, Dave. I've only got about 2 minutes.
Weight rating.
Okay.
On what was actually in his vehicle. They didn't weigh him.
Right.
They go off the sticker on your truck and your trailer. And he had to pay somebody to take his truck or his trailer off his truck into Tennessee to get his cattle and haul them back to New Mexico.
Oh, my goodness. Dave, let me interrupt you. Dave, let me interrupt you for a quick second here. I am out of time on this segment, but we need to talk further about this and much more about this. And I'm going to ask you if you can come on the program next week. I'll reestablish another time, and we'll pick it up at that juncture. How's that?
You bet. Sounds great, Deb.
And listen quickly before you go.
Shout out to my buddy Wade Rainey there in Rupert.
I will do that. And also, before you go quickly, how can people join your organization?
They can go online. We have an online. We don't have a membership, so to speak. We have what we call a supporting partner.
Okay.
And they can donate reoccurring. It's really great when you have people that just do a $50 or whatever they can afford a month and just put it in there. That adds up to a lot for us to do what we do.
All right. Well,
and they can do it right on protecttheharvest.com.
I will definitely give you a call after the program. We'll reestablish another time for next week. Dave Duquette up in Oregon. God bless you, man. Thanks, and I'll look forward to having you back on.
Thank you, Zeb.
Thank you, sir. I want to do more on this because he's very well informed as to what's going on with the anti-animal people in this country that don't want you and I to have a dog, cat, roping steers, horses, etc. We're going to have him back on next week. Holy cow, got to pay some bills. Don't forget our friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Listen to this. My goodness sakes. They've got mattresses. Oh, my goodness. They've got all kinds of mattresses over there. They've got the premium comfort. They've got the luxury comfort and the ultimate comfort mattresses. Oh, my goodness. At prices that are unheard of. And you'd better get in there and check it out. Interest-free for 2 years payments. My goodness sakes, and all the sofas and the love seats and all of this and more in various colors to go with your decor. Stop in and see Jeff and the crew today at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Out with the old, in with the new. They're ready to help you kind of refurbish everything in your home. Looking good and feeling good with all of your carpet and your furniture needs from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Want to also tell you that our dear friends at Ark Animal Hospital, there to serve you and take care of your animals. That's the thing. Animal owners really take care of their animals. Oh, you're going to get some bad people every now and then that don't mind their P's and Q's, but in general, everybody wants to make sure they're safe, sound, and healthy. And that's where Ark Animal Hospital comes in at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Number to call, 678-1177. They're a mixed animal practice, meaning big or little bitty. They love them all. And believe me, they know with Dr. Bill and the rest of the crew how to take care of them and keep them healthy. By gosh, give them a call, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital. It's true, they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Oh, my goodness. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move in just a moment to our first program of the Idaho Legislative Update. We're going to have that momentarily. Stand by. Want to remind you too quickly about Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. I'm telling you, the snow up in the hills, get a snow machine. And, of course, plan for the four-wheeler and side-by-side usage. You gotta check out all the accessories. They've got them all. And to keep you running, a fantastic service department. These are the best guys around right there at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where they really are telling the truth when they say, this is where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. You get over and see them today. Right now, it's time for our Idaho Legislative Update. And it's brought to you this half hour by Handy Trucking at 400 West, 100 South of Paul. Clay Handy and the crew, I'll tell you, Handy Truck Line established in 1928 and has been serving the Intermountain area for all that time. They provide transportation services to Idaho and the surrounding states with terminals in Pocatello, Meridian, and Salt Lake City, Utah. And they're very proud to support our legislative update right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you, Handy Truck Lines and Clay Handy. On the phone with me is a man that I consider a good friend and an excellent senator for the state of Idaho. Good morning, Mr. Kelly Anthon. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Thank you for having me today.
Well, it's always our pleasure for you to take the time and the effort to come on the radio, so I guess I'm just going to say simply, holy cow, what's happening in Boise?
Well, yes, it's a busy time in Boise. And I also, Zeb, just before I say too much, I wanted to also say thank you to Clay Handy and the Handy Truck folks over there who, you know, have been a real mainstay in our community. And I'm grateful that they care enough to kind of sponsor this segment and let us visit about what's happening in Boise.
Absolutely.
The state of Idaho is in good shape, Zeb. We've done really, really well with the economy last few years. As a matter of fact, before I called, I got looking. And what's interesting is if you just look at what has happened in just not even 10 years, I was looking at the state revenues, and in 2009, so we're just talking not that many years ago, we had actually lost revenues. It was a 50% backwards decline in revenues. Now, when I say revenues, we all know what I'm talking about. We're talking about taxes, which nobody's crazy about. But what they do indicate was that the economy was in trouble. As of 2017, now fast forwarding, just this year, instead of going backwards, we're going forward. Now our revenues are up 8.3%. And so what that indicates is the economy has rebounded, and it's rebounded big. As a matter of fact, I was reading, Zeb, in Bloomberg magazine, which is not always my go-to place, but it's interesting to read what they're saying about the economy. Bloomberg says that Idaho is the number one economy in the United States right now.
Really?
And so, go ahead, yeah.
No, I was going to say I'm impressed with that. I had not heard about that.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. The other thing is you read that article, what they're really talking about is that the reason why Idaho is so successful, and this is something we should just absolutely never forget, is that we are so good at producing goods that we sell outside of the state. So we export so many goods. And what are those goods? Well, they're primarily food. It's primarily food. It's our farmers who, if you know anything about agricultural production in certainly in Minnecaja, but the Magic Valley over the last few years, we've done a number of things. You've greatly increased your tons per acre on sugar beets, just as an example. You've greatly increased potato production. You've greatly increased dairy production. So we've gotten really, really good at making a whole bunch of money, and I don't mean the farmers necessarily because they have their tough years, I know that, but that the industry has done a very, very good job of becoming efficient and lean and mean and really driving the state of Idaho. And I say the reason why we shouldn't forget that, Zeb, is because as our population grows, and as you probably noticed, that's the other big news,
right,
which is Idaho on a percentage basis has grown more in people than any other state in the United States. Now, for somebody who likes to live in a small town, it makes me a little nervous. But what it's showing is our economy is doing well. Agriculture has driven that economy together with technology and tourism, interestingly. And people are coming here. And so as people come here, we need to make sure that in the government, in the State House in Boise, that we don't just get folks from the city sitting in the seats.
You're right.
We need people in the legislature who understand agriculture and how important it is to everything I'm talking about today.
Let me ask you this, Kelly, and I'm going to put a lot of the emphasis on this Trump administration. I don't care if that offends somebody, because I think the stagnation with the Obama administration for 8 years really took us down to the bottom of the basement. Am I wrong that all of a sudden there's a resurgence, there's a renewed attitude, there's optimism that yes, we can grow and yes, we can live better?
I think there is, Zeb, and I think, we were edging upwards, but the fact of the matter is, this is very simple. When you're a business and when you want to invest capital, when you want to spend money on a business, you want to go to a place that really, honestly, and I imagine this will offend somebody too, that upholds conservative principles.
That's right.
Because what that means is you're going to have lower taxes, you're going to have less regulation, you're going to have less being pushed around by the government and less involvement by the government, and you'll be given the freedom to conduct your business in the way that you see fit for the bottom line. And so I think when you look at Idaho even, and you compare us to our neighboring states, take a look at Wyoming. Wyoming, interestingly, is losing people. Idaho's gaining people. Wyoming has not diversified their economy. Idaho has diversified their economy. We don't just do agriculture, although we do it and we do it better than anybody else. But we do technology. We've realized that to really have a healthy environment, you have to diversify. But more than all that, probably, is you have very little regulation. You provide stability so that when a businessman is planning out a 5-year plan, he can have a relatively sure belief that the taxes aren't going to go wildly up or sideways, that there won't be a ton of new regulations within the next 5 years, because that's what you need to plan business. And so I think companies, both internationally and out of state, are looking at Idaho and saying, they've got good people, they've got low taxes, they've got little regulation, a conservative legislature, they've got good land, and so on and so forth. It's only natural that we're going to do well.
Let me ask you this.
It's a very good sign, and I think it's going to mean a lot in Boise this year.
Let me ask you this question then that ties in or dovetails into what you're talking about, growth. On the other side of the coin, you're going to have those people that are very conservative, and they're going to be saying, wait a minute, it's great that all these people are coming here. It's great that all this business is looking at Idaho. It's great that real estate is really popping. Whoa, don't we need a little bit of control to make sure that the management is there so that things don't sprawl all over and fall apart eventually?
So Zeb, absolutely. You have to manage growth. And not only do you have to manage it in the sense of location and all that kind of thing, but I think you have to manage it philosophically. And this is what I mean by that. When we talk about growth, and I'm particularly talking about southern Idaho, that I love, the place I love, the place I grew up. I've said many times before, I didn't move there because I wanted to live in a big town. And I think that'd be the case with most of your listeners, most of my constituents, which is We live in a small town, rural setting because we like to live in a small town, rural setting. And so when we talk about growth, which we're going to see a little bit of that, and we need to honestly see a little bit of that, we need to measure it philosophically in the sense, and this is how I measure it, maybe someone would differ from me, but I say it this way. I don't believe in growth for growth's sake. We're not just growing because we want to grow. That's a bad way to go about economic growth. But what we do is we say, let's focus it on the family. So for my children that grow up in Declo or Rupert or wherever they grow up, that they have an opportunity to become educated, whether that's in a trade or some other more professional way, and then they get the option, if they so choose, to stay in that small hometown community near family and raise their family close at home. Because right now we bleed a lot of that talent out to other places like Utah and other horrible places. So the economic policy of growth has to be thought about, Zeb, and it does have to be managed. And I think one of those guiding principles is let's have some economic growth, but let's not lose our way of life.
Right.
Let's not do anything that is contrary to building our families here in the Magic Valley.
You know, let's talk for the time remaining about some of the other subjects that are near and dear to your heart and also which you're going to be overseeing during this legislative session. Give us kind of a rundown of other things that you're looking at, maybe problems that need to be solved or new issues.
Sure. Well, I think what people who watch Boise will recognize is that one of the first things on policy right out of the chute is taxes, and that's because if you've ever noticed, when you go to file your state taxes, the deductions almost always mirror what's happening on your federal tax return. So what happens is after the federal government decides what they're going to allow for deductions, we conform in the state of Idaho to that typically. And so now that the Trump administration and Congress have greatly increased deductions and child tax credits as an example, the question is, what would that do to Idaho if we conformed, if we did the exact same thing? And so, for example, Zeb, one of the issues that's kind of near and dear to me that I'm paying attention to is if we perfectly conform to the federal tax system, we would raise our deductions greatly, which sounds wonderful. It is wonderful. But what we don't have in Idaho is a commensurate child tax credit. So that would mean that for a large family, if we did a pure conformity to the federal system, a large family might end up paying more taxes. So I think what's going to happen here on the very kind of first phase of the legislature is a hashing out of conformity, what it means if we follow the Trump administration on the deductions, and let's make sure that people are getting tax cuts and not tax increases. So that's a big issue to me. I think that the other thing that I'm going to really be paying attention to is our income taxes. Mm-hmm. We have a major surplus in the state of Idaho. That doesn't mean we need to spend it. That means it might be time for some tax cuts as long as we are taking care of things like roads. And you've heard me talk about that a lot. We have a lot of road work yet to do. But I think it may be time that we adjust the income tax rate. So, and when I say adjust, I mean take it down. So those are kind of two things right out of the chute, Zeb, that I think you're going to see a lot of. It's going to be not as exciting maybe, but there's going to be some talk of taxes and money.
Do people really hear the right message with the various newscasts and everything and the newspapers in the state of Idaho? Are they really aware of really how well this state is doing and how the future looks very bright for the state of Idaho?
No, Zeb, I think the answer to that is, and I'm thinking probably more on a national level, I think, Idaho's getting enough of its due credit because we're seeing the business come here and we're seeing people look at us, and maybe we don't want much more credit. But, when you talk about the media on a national level, I think your listeners are savvy enough to know that there are not, don't make any bones about it, there are people in this country who want to mislead people for political purposes.
Yeah.
And we see that every single day. We've gotten so used to this phrase "fake news," but that happens. That's one of the risks, I guess, of a free press. But it also really makes it incumbent upon us as citizens to pay attention, know the issues, and to be able to call baloney when it's baloney.
Well, let me interrupt here and just say this, and it really dovetails right into what we're talking about. On the national level, the Dow this morning hit over 26,000, and nobody in the news is reporting it except very few stations. Here in the state of Idaho, we've got optimism. We've got people that are smiling about the future that might be held for their kids, their grandkids, etc. Why can't there be a partisan unifying and everybody be happy about better things happening in this state and for the United States? I don't understand.
Boy, I couldn't agree more, and I'll be honest with you. I've had a lot of meetings here in Boise as a Republican where I've been talking to my party members and saying we are not messaging this correct. We're not doing a good job of showing how conservative principles have led us through some of the most terrible economic times that we've had in recent history.
Right.
And it's time that we do a better job letting people know that these things work. I think that's a real issue, Zeb. It's actually something I've been working on quite a bit.
Well, I want to ask you, too, is there anything else you want to highlight this morning? We've got about 6 minutes left in this segment. I know that you're just settling into the chair and getting ready for a long session, but tell us a little bit about the nuts and bolts of other ideas or things that have to be addressed.
Sure. I think the other thing we're going to be seeing this session is kind of the culmination of 2 years' worth of work of studying the foster care program, which I've been a part of. And I told you what really got it started, Zeb. There were a couple of different things. There were a couple of different bits of information that caught the legislature's eye, one of which was there was a report that children in foster care were being treated with psychotropic drugs at a much more alarmingly high rate than the national average. And not only that, but that some of the practices associated with the foster care program were damaging children by not giving them the stability they needed in their lives. So we've embarked on a 2-year study. We're working on a bill right now with Senator Abby Lee out of Payette and Fruitland area. She's working on that, doing a great job. But I think you're going to see some addressing of those children. And really, these are the most vulnerable of Idaho citizens. If you think about it, they really need the state to help more than anybody. And so it's time that we take some good steps forward there. So that's one that's going to be on the horizon, Zeb.
You know, Kelly, maybe I'm out of bounds by asking you to comment on this, but I'm sure you heard the story that happened in Paris, California. They found over 13 kids aged from 2 to 29 that had been chained to their beds in that home and malnutrition. I mean, it's about high time we had better care for our kids, and there are more laws to protect these children.
Well, I did read the newspaper articles, Zeb, about that, and it's just disgusting. And what I'll tell you what, I've said on the Senate Judiciary and Rules Committee, we cover the criminal statutes. So, you know, we change the law where it needs to be changed. But I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to children, the law should be unwavering.
That's right.
There is not a criminal alive that would hurt a child that way that should be given the light of day, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And which opens up another Pandora's box of questions. Is the law today tough enough to take care of these offenders so that it's not basically a slap on the wrist?
I think in Idaho we still have some of those virtues, and I think the law... And we have some good judges, too. That's the other thing. You have to have a complete legal system that believes in the thing I just said. And that means your prosecutors need to go after these criminals. That means your juries, which we have conservative, good juries in Idaho, are going to recognize these problems. But we have to protect the values that we, you know, you hear about these stories in California. That's either mental illness at a minimum,
yeah,
but it's a complete breakdown of morality. And for us to abandon this concept that there is right and wrong is the death of our culture. We've got to stop doing that.
You know, on the bright side of things, I am so happy to hear your good news. Good news for the state of Idaho, and it looks like there is a bright horizon. Anything else you want to mention in the time remaining this morning, Kelly? The floor is yours.
The future is bright for Idaho. We have the best state. I don't just say it, I mean it. and it sure is an honor to be up here. I'm trying my hardest to do a good job. So for those of you at home that are listening, if you see something that's a big issue that you see needs some attention, please call me. You can call me here at my office at the Capitol, but also I'm going to give you my cell phone real quick, 208-431-5863. But also, there's email. There's lots of ways to communicate with me. And if you come to the Capitol, and if I'm not otherwise in a meeting, I'm going to take you around and show you the Capitol. But I'd love to have you up here. It's an honor to serve, and thanks for you letting me come on and visit with your guest, Zeb.
No, it is absolutely my pleasure. And, I'm going to hold you to that because all the times that I've wanted to get up to the legislative session and kind of take a little tour and find out more, naturally I'm on the radio. I'm going to call you someday, and I'm going to make you take me on the guided tour.
I'm good. And real quick, Zeb, I know you got to run. In my office now, the office I occupy now, there's a little tiny hole-in-the-wall door. It's about the size of it's about 2 feet square. I'm told this is the door that during the Prohibition that a few senators hid some alcohol in. So I'll show you that.
Okay.
Pretty interesting.
Senator Kelly Anthon, God's blessings to you. I hope you have a wonderful legislative session for 2018. You've always been very amenable to coming on this program and sharing with us all the information. Thank you for taking the time this morning.
God bless you. Thanks for letting me come on, and thanks for all those people who listen to you.
I appreciate it. Senator Kelly Anthon, thank you very much. And, of course, our legislative update brought to you by some really, really nice folks. Fifth generation of folks running the Handy truck lines at 400 West, 100 South of Paul. Clay Handy and his folks, really good folks, providing transportation services to Idaho and the surrounding states with terminals in Pocatello, Meridian, and Salt Lake City, Utah. And they are very pleased to be one of the great sponsors of our legislative update, Handy Truck Lines in Paul. Thank you, Clay Handy. Right now, we're going to have a look at our weather, and the weather brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. These are, of course, accounting services that have been serving the great Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years. Callers, stay on the line. I'll be right with you, I promise. Don't forget Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, and so much more. They're there to serve you with 2 office locations in Burley and Rupert. Don't forget Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Really liking these warm winter days, but we need to see some precipitation in the forecast. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at some areas of fog this morning. That's going to turn to mostly sunny skies by this afternoon. We are expecting a high of 47. Tonight's mostly cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 51. Overnight low of 32. For Thursday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers in the morning, turning to mostly sunny skies by the afternoon with a high of 32. 70% chance of rain, possible snow showers for Thursday evening, low of 34. That could carry over for Friday morning. Going to be breezy as well with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Excellent weather forecast. It is nice outside. Look at that blue sky. And our thanks to our weather sponsor for this half hour, Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. As I said, they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cache area for well over 50 years. They can help you if you're starting a business or want to expand a business or anything about your personal taxes. They are there to serve you. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your patience. You're on the air.
Good morning. I just want to make one comment. I've been voting in Idaho for over 50 years, and this after the legislature closed, I was so amazed to get a letter from Senator Anthon stating what he supported and what he's going to support this next year. And I just wanted to tell you that that is the first time I've ever gotten a letter like that from one of our people in Boise. Thank you.
Wait a minute. Before you hang up, may I say that I appreciate your call more than you know. And Kelly has had that kind of a first party help you, serve you, get a hold of you type atmosphere. And I really think that we should be very, very proud of him as a state senator. And thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Kelly Anthon, in my opinion, is one of the most approachable people in politics and such a nice person, and sits down and analyzes things and gives you his opinion, and that lady's call meant a lot. Yes, he is a very people person, if you will, and we all should be very proud of him as a state senator from this area. Want to remind you about some other good friends of ours, and that's, of course, Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Hello, Todd and the crew over there at, of course, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and more for you, your family, and your business. I urge you to give them a call and make an appointment today at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Well, you heard Ruby barking in the background. That means that Dr. History just walked in the house, and he'll be, and he bows, takes his cap off. Thank you very much. And he'll be coming up next half hour right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget that we are going to have that legislative update every Tuesday at 9:30 right here on our program, and of course sponsored by Handy Truck Lines and Clay Handy. Super nice people serving the Intermountain West, so appreciate what they do. What else have I got here for public service announcements? I had a list of them. Let me get my... Oh, over here. Here we go. Valentine's dinner, pardon me, is going to take place at the Minidoka County Senior Center. It's going to be held on February 10th at 6 p.m. starting time. The tickets are $18 each. Listen to this. You get your choice of steak or salmon. And there's only going to be 75 advance tickets sold. The number to call, 436-9107. And also be current for the raffles they're going to have. That's big Valentine's dinner at the Minidoka County Senior Center on February the 10th at 6 p.m. Don't miss that. Wow, what a busy morning. Now, coming up next half hour, we've got, of course, Dr. History. We always look forward to that. And then at 10:30 this morning, we're going to be talking to Maria Espinoza, and she is an expert on immigration and the DACA problem. Build the wall, don't build the wall. I can't wait to get her on the air at 10:30 this morning. Wheels, what's going on over there at the station today? The weather looks absolutely phenomenal.
It does. You know, to be honest, every now and again, I was even talking to Kelly Anthon about it. I will look over every now and again out my window over here, and some days, you know, even though it's winter, I wish we could do the show outside. Yeah,
let's not get carried away. Listen, I'm going to turn it over to you right now, old buddy, and I bit my tongue. Old fuddy-duddy, there you go. And coming up next half hour, Dr. History. Don't go away. Thanks, Wheels. I'll see you in 7. Aha, you thought I was sleeping. I was talking to Dr. History. He's here in all of his radiant glory. I have never seen anybody, anytime, come into this program with 6 entourage people that follow him wherever he goes and do all of his bidding, like, here, hang my coat up, and one runs over and hangs his coat up, and then, here, take my cap, and the other one hangs his cap up, here, get my chair. I mean, it's unbelievable, the people that travel with this man. Don't forget, this is Zeb at the Ranch, and of course, I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course, some of our great advertisers, like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And now, without further ado, and he won't even turn the microphone on by himself, he's got his own handler for that, Dr. History.
Good morning, Zeb, and you know, the people that know you and know me, that there could have been just a little exaggeration in that introduction.
I am
just
hurt.
A little.
I'm hurt that you would say something like that. That cuts like a knife.
Hey, I got to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Last week we talked about a lady by the name of Nancy Kelsey.
We did. I remember her.
And I got an email this week from a guy.
Are we in trouble again?
No. He has more information about Nancy Kelsey. And so he is going to email me more information about her. So I'm excited to get that.
There you go.
So I appreciate our listeners that correct my pronunciations and provide more information. So thank you. I appreciate that. So I'll share that.
What this does is open up a validity to the whole program, because I'm still looking and hoping that we get some relatives of various people that you've talked about.
Yeah, that would be super.
Oh, man, yeah.
And maybe this is what this guy's going to send me. So we'll see.
What are we going to do this morning?
Well, we're going to talk about the Battle of Tahlequah Canyon. And you have heard
That's
that.
in Oklahoma.
Well, Oklahoma or Arkansas, I'm not quite sure.
Tahlequah, the city of Tahlequah is on the eastern border, more or less, of Oklahoma.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Well, we're going to talk about a gun battle that took place right there. And once again, I'm going to stick my neck out about a guy that I'm going to bet nobody's heard about.
Here we go.
Here we go again.
Okay.
So, the history of the West is full of tales of mighty gun battles. Some consider the OK Corral gunfight between the Earps and the Clantons as the ultimate in classic Western gun battles.
Yeah.
But the Tahlequah Canyon battle outdid anything the OK Corral battle had to offer.
Really?
Now, one side was made up of men who rode for Judge Parker. You've heard of him.
Yeah.
The other of a guy by the name of Ned Christie and his band. The battle lasted 3 days.
3 days they were shooting at each other?
Yeah, so we got two factions here.
Poor shots.
So it all started when Ned Christie, for reasons of his own, turned his back on his family, friends, and everything he had stood for. He had everything a man could want in the way of money, education, community standing. He was son of a tribal chief. He was actually a Cherokee.
Oh, my.
Christie had been tutored in Eastern white man schools. So as far as anybody could tell, what happened was it began with an argument with another Cherokee.
Okay.
And what started as a friendly difference of opinion turned into a knockdown, drag-out fight. The other man complained to the sheriff, who sent one of his men to arrest Christie for drinking. Okay? Christie not only refused to submit to arrest, but he drove the officer away at gunpoint.
Wait, whoa. He drove the officer away?
At gunpoint.
Oh.
The police officer returned to town for help, but by the time those sent to bring in the rebel got to the farm, Ned had vanished into the hills.
So he left his family.
Left everything.
And
education, money.
He vamoosed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and in the hills he stayed, except for a few little adventures against Wells Fargo, banks, railroads, stealing a few horses here and there. Well, deputies knew of the visits to his home, but they never seemed to be able to get to the farm in time to catch him. Okay? Now, it was inevitable that Christie soon had a gang around him. A natural leader, a crack shot. He was intelligent. Christie was the most dangerous kind of criminal. He never used the same tactics twice. He never struck the same town, bank, Wells Fargo stage, or railroad more than once, and ranging far and wide, he never came back to his hideout by the same way that he'd left.
Holy cow.
And the hideouts were changed quite often because Christie made it a practice to keep constantly on the move. So this was not your average dumb outlaw.
Yeah, like on Friday afternoons, he didn't hit the same place.
No, he did not. Now, things got a little worse. Ned shot and killed a deputy.
Oh, this is starting to sound bad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And the deputy, his name was Dan Maples. He's a young, well-liked young man, kind of a newcomer into the area.
Why did he shoot the deputy?
Well, let me just tell you here.
I thought you never would.
Yeah. So Dan was warned that when he went, he was given the assignment that Christie was dangerous and likely to shoot first and ask questions later. Well, he found out where Ned was.
Uh-oh.
And he went there. And this was a fatal mistake.
All by himself?
Yeah. And, I'm thinking, why did they even send him by himself? This guy was dangerous.
Wow.
So it was a fatal mistake. And to come up on the outlaw unexpectedly and call on him to surrender, well...
Wait a minute. Did he have, 30 guys with him? Hey, surrender.
I don't know. He whirled around, drew his gun, and shot. And Maples went down with a bullet in his head.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was kind of the beginning of the worst of what was going
I would
on.
say.
Anyway, despite the fact that almost every one of Parker's deputies were looking for the outlaw, no matter what assignment they happened to be on, none of them seemed to be able to catch up with him, and they were always just a day or so late from where he had been.
No kidding.
Now, at this point, Judge Parker assigned a guy by the name of Heck Bruner. Now, don't you like that name? Heck
How
Bruner.
would you... His name must have been Hector.
You're probably right.
Yeah.
So they called him Heck.
Heck.
Who the heck cares?
Yeah.
And anyway.
That's good.
So Heck Bruner and his posse men, the exclusive duty of tracking down Christie and his band.
Okay.
So a posse man was usually a young officer training for the dangerous job of deputy. He rode with an older man to learn the tricks of the trade. Well, Christie's band never numbered more than about 6 or 7 guys. But those few were the cream of the long list of the hopefuls that wanted to be outlaws.
Bad hombres.
So this was kind of like training to become a really good outlaw.
Holy cow.
Now, to qualify for membership, they were kind of hard to meet to qualify for his band. A man had to be young, possess 2 good fast horses, a good rifle, a 6-gun, an oversupply of recklessness, and the ability to carry out orders under fire.
Mickey?
I don't think so. So anyway, with these specialists, Christie ran this Bruner guy ragged for almost 2 years.
Wow.
Only twice in that time did Bruner and his possemen come near enough to exchange shots. The first time, after trailing Christie almost 20 miles, Bruner managed to slip up on the gang as they were dividing up the spoils from a robbery they had committed that day. Wells Fargo Stage Company boxes, they were big, cumbersome affairs, and you had to have a bullet or two to break open the lock. They'd actually shoot him.
Yeah.
But luck was against Bruner, and at the last minute, they were spotted by a sentry and took off.
Whatever happened to the guys like the Pinkertons and that? Why didn't they go after him?
Well, that's a good question. I got to get my watch off so I know how much time I got.
Oh, I'll let you know.
I know you will. I forgot about that little detail.
Okay.
So I don't get carried away here. Anyway, so in the short but savage gunfight that followed, Bruner fired the shot that actually scarred and half-blinded Christie.
Really?
Okay, so he got a shot off.
Oh.
And it deepened his hatred for the whites, because remember, he's a Cherokee.
Yeah.
Well, the bullet struck a glancing blow on the bridge of his nose, shattering his nose.
Ooh.
Christie's.
That hurts.
And after the deputies were driven off, Christie went first to his father, then to the tribal medicine man for treatment. Luckily for him, the medicine man was an enlightened one who believed in using the best of both red and white man's medicine. He was able to save the outlaw's life, but not the badly damaged eye. All right?
Oh, it hit him in the eye, too?
Well, kind of the nose and the eye. Anyway, Christie promptly dropped out of sight to nurse his wounds.
That's a play on words. Dropped out of sight.
Dropped out of sight. And Bruner took up the chase again.
Okay.
Now, here we go. The second meeting, Bruner was lucky enough to have 3 or 4 others with him. He trailed Christie after a daylight raid on a rancher's horse herd to a small box canyon.
So he's blind in one eye.
Pretty much, yeah. The Indian was busy dividing the horses among his men when the deputies called on him to surrender and come out. At the first challenge, Christie waved his men to their horses and suggested that the deputies come on in, come and get him.
Really?
And that was kind of impossible, really. Well, while the deputies were trying to decide what to do,
I think the answer's obvious.
I'm not going in there.
Tell me. Not for $30 a month.
No. So Christie rounded up the stolen herd and stampeded them toward the posse, riding in among them to confuse the 1 or 2 who were in a safe enough place to try a shot. He added insult to injury by pausing long enough to take the lawmen's horses with him.
Oh, that was nice.
So not only did he get away, he stole their horses.
For some reason, you're
with the stolen horses.
You're giving me a picture that these law enforcement people weren't the brightest bulbs in the fixture.
Well, they were beginners.
Yeah.
So anyway, after his return to Fort Smith, Bruner nursed both his sore feet and his sore feelings while trying to decide on what his next move would be.
Okay.
So Bruner sent scouts everywhere and began his plans for what was to be the final battle. Well, at last one of Bruner's scouts came back with word that Christie was holed up at an old trading post in a canyon near Tahlequah.
Oklahoma.
You know where that is?
I do.
Okay, so Bruner was familiar with the old trading post and its location, and both bothered him a bit. Okay, the post had been constructed on the order of a fort. originally consisting of 3 buildings inside a stockade. Only the trading store itself was left, but that was the strongest of all. It was actually made of hardwood logs, cleverly cut and chiseled to fit without mortar. So this is a good,
it's well built.
Sturdy place to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, the roof was of logs covered by sod, which was kept well watered. The windows were barred and equipped with heavy shutters. This was a good place.
It's a fortress.
Yeah. Well, Bruner arranged with the Army to bring in a 3-pound cannon and 30 rounds of ammunition from Kansas.
They brought a cannon with them?
In addition to 18 deputies and posse men, there were 6 wagons, spare horses for wagons and riders. I mean, we're getting an army.
Don't you dare tell me they tried to sneak up on him.
So here, you got a bunch of people coming
Holy
here after this.
moly.
Christie. Okay, so now, if Christie knew they were coming, which he probably did, he made no effort to escape. He didn't try to leave. Okay? Now, no one knows why he didn't break away while he could, because of his gang. All he had at this place was a young boy and 2 Indian women. Okay,
we won't go into that.
The rest of his gang were out on some other errand. They weren't even there.
Some other errand?
Errand, you know.
Yeah, they went to Walmart.
They went to get some food or I don't know. Anyway, it might be that he expected the rest of his men to return in time to make things interesting for the deputies by catching them between 2 fires. In other words, the deputies coming in, the gang coming in, and him on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so here they are. They started with the guns.
So the bad
shooting.
guys are in the house.
Yeah.
Or
Christie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a Captain George White and his crew. They speedily uncoupled the heavy, awkward gun, the cannon. Wheeled it into place, loaded, aimed, and fired. Now, this guy White had been an artillery officer for the Confederate forces, and like many of the others, confidently expected the gun to batter a hole in the walls, which were old and weather-beaten. But when the smoke cleared and the dust settled somewhat, the old fort showed no signs that it was under attack.
Oh, wait a minute.
They were shooting cannons at this place. Didn't do a thing.
And it bounced off?
It didn't do a thing.
You got to be kidding me.
Or
did he actually miss?
No, he hit. It just didn't do anything.
Oh my goodness.
White ordered the gun loaded and fired again. Same result. Well, the gun was wheeled closer. Okay, let's get a little closer, right? Swabbed, loaded, and aimed. 2 more shells did no damage. Some parts of the sod roof were shaken down, but there was no impression on the old walls except where the balls had hit and maybe made a little dent.
You got to be kidding me.
Okay, so there'd been no reply from the fort.
So the people inside didn't shoot her.
He wasn't doing anything at that point. So during these preliminaries, but now the hidden guns opened up and the gun crew had to jump for cover. Sort of a stalemate ensued. The gun was useless without a crew. So Christie is shooting at the guys shooting the cannon, but they hightail it out of there.
So they didn't think that by being out in the open they were not good targets.
Yeah. So anyway, so Christie was able to keep them pinned down, and at last White and his men dragged the gun back out of rifle range and opened up again with a dangerously heavy charge.
A dangerously heavy
So I'm
charge.
assuming they put in more gunpowder.
Maybe they're trying something new.
Yeah, same result. Some of the sod
bounced off again?
Again, yeah. Dust was beaten out of the logs. That was it. And there was a distinct impression of the ball between 2 of the hardwood logs, but the ball itself lay harmlessly on the ground.
I get the impression that old Christie's in there going, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah, what else you got? You know, give me your best shot here.
Yeah, they did.
Well, so after that, the canyon was useful as a diversion only, and White kept his crew loading and firing as long as the ammunition lasted. As the last ball thudded harmlessly to the ground, the only effect was that one wall had been actually moved several inches inward, but without breaking or coming loose. So it actually moved the wall a few inches. That was it.
Now you're going to tell me they sent their officers to go pick up the cannonballs.
Well, you'll just have to see. So, stationed around the canyon in whatever cover they could find, the riflemen were getting a little frustrated.
A little.
Christie had only to wait until a deputy showed himself briefly and then fire in complete safety from the protection of the fort. The deputies had early guessed that the majority of the band were off on some business, and they had to keep watch on all sides to avoid being trapped between Christie and his returning men.
So
they knew
they had enough men to surround the building.
Pretty much, yeah. But they knew that the other band had to be coming back. Now, this went for 2 long days. From the 1st of November in the morning of the 3rd, the battle kept up. The toll among Bruner's men was heavy, with more than half of them wearing bandages of some kind on their head, their leg, their arm, or a shoulder. And there were also 4 blanket-covered forms in one of the wagons that had been killed. So 4 men killed and a bunch of them wounded.
And everybody's okay inside the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at last, uneasy over the probability that Christie's men might arrive at any moment and concerned over the lawman's increasing losses, the deputies took a step none of them really wanted to take.
Here we go.
While the remaining force created a diversion on one side of the fort to attract Christie to that side, there was a guy named Peyton Tolbert and one of the only unwounded deputies. They took a keg of gunpowder. Gets interesting.
Yeah.
A short fuse.
Short fuse.
And the wadding, or whatever, and made their way around to what they hoped was the unprotected side. Okay, it was defended, but they were able to get the keg in place and light the fuse despite the bullets that flew around them. They just had time to get to the partial protection of some rocks before the powder went up.
Here we
Explosion.
go. Uh-huh.
Now, finally, all of one wall and a portion of the rear went up in splinters, while the other 2 walls caved toward or outward under the force of the explosion. So basically, destroyed.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the dust and the smoke hung in a thick cloud over this fortress, and just as it began to lift, the deputies moved in, none of them knowing really quite what to expect. All right. Now, someone pointed to a form that staggered toward them through the kind of dark, you couldn't see very good. Thinking it was one of the 2 who had set off the charge, no one gave the figure a second thought until Bruner yelled a warning. He had recognized from having trailed him almost 6 years the man who staggered and reeled over the remains of the shattered building toward them. Christie, it was Christie, he began firing toward the sound of the voice as he moved into clear air, and he kept on firing.
And he couldn't see, though.
He couldn't see. Well, he only had one eye anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, when the rifle was empty, he drew his 6th gun and kept on shooting, and not until that gun was empty and he was clear of the building did he hesitate, go down to his knees, and then topple forward on his face. This was Christie.
That was it.
The trading post was only a few hundred yards from Christie's home, where he'd actually grown up.
Really?
Okay. So his father and the mother were forced to listen to this gun battle all through those 3 days, knowing that their son was in that fort with this, basically an army after him.
I'll be.
So to them, the final explosion of the gunpowder, both knew pretty much that was the end of their son.
Really?
Okay? So he was taken to Fort Smith in one of the wagons, and there his body was photographed, and I'm going to show you a picture here in a minute, with his rifle in the traditional upside-down position of the defeated. The father came to claim his son for burial by tribal rights, and Judge Parker closed his books on Ned Christie, and about the only comment that Bruner or Thomas made the following experience was, they said, for a little guy, he sure raised a lot of heck.
I'll bet they said heck.
They said heck. He raised a lot of heck.
Now wait a minute. Did the deputies hold that up just so I can take a look at it here for a minute? I'll put it on the camera over here.
Okay, now they've kind of
they got him
photoshopped in there.
Uh-huh.
And I think that...
Which one's Christie?
I think it's this guy right here. See, he's got his rifle right there.
Oh.
Okay.
So they got him up against the board, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me take a look at that.
So there's the other
and these are
members of the posse.
These are the brave members of the posse.
That only took a cannon and about 30 men to bring him down and a keg of gunpowder.
How many times did they shoot this guy? I mean, really, when he's walking out of the cabin.
Who knows? I mean, he just kept coming and he kept shooting. They had to keep shooting back at him.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't say a lot for law enforcement, does it? In that area, back in those times.
And once again, I'm going to put it out there, listeners. If you've heard of this guy, let me know.
I have Ned Christie. There's a movie, I think, that was made about his life. And I'm going to do some research on that.
Yeah.
I think I remember that.
And I guess you got to wonder, here he was, educated, he had money, he was stalwart in the community, so to speak, with his family, but he just decided to go the other direction.
Let me ask you, Bruner, the sheriff, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did he ever maybe get back to his office and write a letter to the Cannon Company and tell them that it didn't work very well?
He may have wanted a rebate on that Cannon. Hey, send me something with a little more oomph.
Can you imagine, though, being the sheriff and these deputies, and they got the place surrounded, and they know they've got heavy artillery with a cannon, and they're all sitting there smug and going, "We got him now!" And they shoot the cannon, and it bounces off the wall?
Well, and for 3 days.
Holy
3 days.
Cow.
So you talk about the gunfight of the OK Corral, which is like 2 or 3 minutes?
No, it actually was seconds.
Yeah. So when you think of gunfights, this has to be up there in the pretty amazing gunfights.
Let's do some research on that, Ned Christie, because I'm almost positive I saw a movie that would be comparable to that.
Yeah, and once again, any listeners out there, if you know more about this story, let me know.
And if the owners of that Cannon Company are listening, boy, you got a rotten product.
And this actually came out of True West magazine.
Yeah.
Clear back, this I think was back in like 1962.
Holy cow.
I got this out of.
Thank you, Dr. History.
You bet.
And don't go away, but I want to tell everybody that Dr. History, you're going to be gone for a couple of weeks.
Yep. Although there will be people in my house.
Yep.
So I'll just be gone.
Yeah.
But I will tell you some stories when I get back.
I can't wait to hear them.
About Africa.
Watch out for the black mambas.
I'm already nervous about that.
Okay, buddy. Hey, don't forget, on Thursday, we've got another segment that we're very proud of. It's called Cache County School Days at 10:10 right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley with all the clothing and the toys and Dr. History, don't break anything. And, of course, all the children's furniture, whatever you need, it's a family store at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, along with the Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland in Burley, and the number to call to find out how they can save you money on outpatient surgeries, 677-8888. Don't forget, Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cache County on Thursdays at 10:10. Right now, let's send it back over to our main studio. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I have a list of some of the favorite people that I have on my program, and I keep inviting them back because I really value their opinions and what they talk about. And this next lady is one of those. She is the National Director of the Remembrance Project, which honors and remembers Americans and legal residents who have been killed by illegal aliens. And I say a good morning to Maria Espinoza. How are you, Maria?
I'm doing well, Zev. Thanks so much for having me on again. Great to talk with you.
Well, it's my pleasure, and thank you for taking the time. You know, Maria, every day I get really mad, and I sit in my great big recliner watching television and picking up stories on the news, and basically I'm going to say this, and if I'm wrong, correct me. It seems like the Democrats and the left in this country are more concerned about providing a safe haven for illegal aliens and also a citizenship course, easier than most, for DACA, the Dreamers. And what about us ordinary, good old American taxpayers? What happened to what we want?
Oh, exactly. We have been ignored for so long, Zeb, and that has to change. And I think now with President Donald Trump in office, I think that will change, but we have to help it along. You know, right now, and I have to tell you, I'm at the White House right now, participating in a conversation with the women of America, and you can be guaranteed that I'm spreading the word here with the ladies I'm around, and these are leaders all across the United States, from 200 women from, all over. And, for the Remembrance Project, just know, and I want your listeners to know, that we will be pursuing and encouraging for these elected officials to be prosecuted under Title 8, Section 1324. And that's key, because I think that as long as they are in power, they think that they can do what they want and ignore their oaths of office, ignore the American people. And again, we're fed up.
Let me ask you this, Maria, in regards to the Dreamers or the DACA program in general. Why? Why are we being made to feel like we're bigoted and we're hateful and that, oh, how dare you be against these kids staying in this country? Very few of them have a high school diploma. Many of them have been in trouble. Why should we give a safe haven to citizenship?
Oh, absolutely right.
Explain why we're being duped into thinking this is a great deal for us.
Well, let's put it this way. For decades, Zeb, their tactic of calling us racist, and anyone who disagreed with their liberal agendas, they called names. So we're racist, we're hate, we're full of hate, we're Nazis, we're white supremacists. Even I've been called those names. And my father immigrated legally from Mexico years ago. And, we have an America First heart. We love this country. We know this is the best country ever. I tell your listeners to ignore the name calling, and we're not racist. We know who we are. We're the most racist people in the entire world, Zeb. And here we're asking the liberals are asking the American public to ignore our laws, and that's a very, very dangerous and a slippery slope, but we do not need to be on. So I encourage everyone to stand with the existing laws and press your elected officials to do the same and follow our Constitution. And every piece of legislation should be for the betterment of our country and our people.
Absolutely. Maria, we have a caller with a question for you. If you can't hear it, let me know and I'll paraphrase it for you. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Well, this is the thing. America is the golden goose. America is where everybody wants to go, especially the illegals from south of the border. And I know lots of them, and I don't know if they're legal or illegal, that I have contact with because I'm a contractor. And I trust them. They seem like good people. But you see, this is the thing. They, in some cases, in so many cases, they're sucking our system dry. The system is being drained. Look, 20 years ago, California was the richest state per capita in America. Now, it is suffering from severe poverty across their state, and they just keep doing more and more stories about it. They are killing the golden goose in California, and they will do the same to America. We have got to remember what keeps us alive. I'll hang up.
Maria, if you can, please respond to the caller. Thank you.
Zeb, I could not hear him.
Well, basically, what he was saying, and I know that we have a lot of noise in the background, but what he was saying basically is that take the state of California, for instance. 20 years ago, it was one of the wealthiest states, if not the wealthiest, and now with the laxity and of course, Democrats and the liberals taking over and controlling the state and letting all the liberal illegals come in, it's now turned into one of the poorest, and that's going to happen nationwide.
It will, and I'm going to have to cut it short here, but we're being moved. So, yes, and look, over half of the illegal aliens during the 1986 amnesty lived in California, and they implemented their liberal policies, and they placed people who had liberal agendas in office. So this is what is taking place, and it's trying to ruin our country to become a third world country. Take a look at California, as you can see. Do we want that there? Look at what happened to the Kate Steinle case,
yes,
where justice was not attained for the family and all Americans.
You know,
Deb, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to cut it short here. We're coming into a room, and I'm going to have to get off the phone.
No, I understand, and God bless you, and thank you for your time this morning. Thank you.
God bless you too,
All
Deb.
right.
I look forward to talking with you again.
All right, thank you. As you heard, she is back in Washington, D.C. at the White House for meetings this morning, and I totally respect when they move from room to room with security and everything, probably had to hang up the phone and have everything checked. I appreciate her. Maria Espinoza back in D.C., and she is the national director of the Remembrance Project, which honors and remembers Americans and legal residents who have been killed by illegal aliens. I will get her back after this meeting. As a matter of fact, I'm making a note right now, and next week I'll try to get her back on the program again. That means that we have an open phone line and open forum, so you could please give me a call, and I would love to visit with you about anything that's going on. I think that she said it all right there, and our caller that had called in, Randy, I appreciate your call. It is true that the liberalization and the open borders have created nothing but pure havoc and crime in California. And they went from a very, very wealthy state, and now they're one of the poorest. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, Zeb. How you doing?
I am good, sir. What can I do for you this morning?
Yeah, hey, I just wanted to vent a little bit about one pet peeve I have with the media is how they're making a big to-do about what Trump said in that meeting, if he actually said it.
Okay.
Where he called those countries something whole countries,
Right.
And I really think that the media ought to just back off because those countries that he was referring to are corrupt and they're Islamic havens for terrorists, and we need to really watch them.
I could not agree with you more. Now, a lot of people will criticize Donald Trump and say, oh, the language was abhorrent and everything else. But wait a minute. He has not done or said anything that any other president hasn't done in office that was off the record but still leaked to the press, whether it was John F. Kennedy, whether it was Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Barack Obama said some much worse things in meetings.
Well, that doesn't justify the saying of it, but quite frankly, what Trump said was basically the truth, that we in America are getting a lot of the dregs of every society instead of really trying to program and make sure that we get the better part of their societies coming in that have jobs or want to study and want to adopt into the American culture. And that's what I don't think we're getting today. Sir, I appreciate your call.
By the way, what I was saying was, when I said Obama said much worse things, was he didn't get called out on it. Yet Trump has just the tiniest slip of the lip, and they drag him through the mud.
I agree with you. I always appreciate hearing from you, my friend. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, hey, I'll talk to you later.
You bet. God bless. Thank you very, very much. When I really feel bad that I didn't get a chance this morning because of time constraints with Maria to talk to her about this illegal alien that had been deported 5 times and just day before yesterday had commandeered a Greyhound bus from Wisconsin going to Illinois because he wanted to take up safe sanctuary in the city of Chicago. Yeah, that's the kind of real good people that are coming up, getting in trouble and putting other people's lives at risk. I'm going to do a weather forecast, and then I want you to give me a call, and we'll talk about any subject you want to cover this morning for the remainder of our program. Our weather forecast is brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. And believe me, all the delicious delicious meats, whether it's the breakfast sausages or the bratwurst or the bacons, all the way up to the prime ribs and the hams. Oh, it is delicious. Get a hold of them today. Number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website and check out more, scarrowsmeats.com. Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Really liking these warm winter days, but we need to see some precipitation in the forecast. Here is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch. We are looking at some areas of fog this morning. That's going to turn to mostly sunny skies by this afternoon. We are expecting a high of 47. Tonight's mostly cloudy skies with a low of 29. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies with a high of 51. Overnight low of 32. For Thursday, we do have a slight chance of rain showers in the morning, turning to mostly sunny skies by the afternoon with a high of 32. 70% chance of rain, possible snow showers for Thursday evening, low of 34. That could carry over for Friday morning. Going to be breezy as well with a high of 41. That's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And Gina, thank you very much. Weather brought to you by Scarrow's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrow's Meats. All right, it's your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, watching the news last night and other previous nights, it really became I'll talk about that in just a minute. Remind me the subject matter I was on. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, while I was talking to Maria there, I was getting a call, and it was fouling me up, and, it was unfortunate. But, one of the things they're doing right now is they're having a hearing with the Homeland Security Chief, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
She's a lady,
right.
And
right.
She, instead of talking about immigration and securing our borders and making our people safe, the Democratic senators and congressmen, I don't know if it's just the Senate hearing or both, but they're trying to get out of her what Trump had said the other day about S-hole countries. And she said everybody was saying tough language about what was going on, but all they're trying to do is just find out if he said that, and that's all they're trying to do. You sit there and you say to yourself, you guys are pitiful. You Democrats are pitiful. You're a joke. And all you want to do is what? Try to smear the president. It hasn't worked so far, and it's not going to work. And, this morning, and now this is just to add to what I'm saying, Charles Payne was on Fox regular station this morning, and he's on Fox Business. And he says there is a certain economic indicator that was at 2%. The highest it ever got was 2% under Obama.
Right.
For 8 years, he says we survived for 8 years. Now we see somebody that actually wants to do something right for our country, and that indicator is at 11%. It hasn't been at 11% for so long. And he says the people of America are thriving, and their 401ks are gaining. And he says these kinds of things go home with people, and whether or not they would admit they voted for Trump or not, or like him, they're going to like the fact that they're worth some money.
Well, listen, I will say this, and I know I'll probably get a lot of chastisement over emails, phone calls, etc., but I'm going to stand behind my statement. The liberal Democrats would much rather see Trump's administration fail than they would see America succeed.
This is the thing. Black unemployment is at its lowest rate.
Yep.
These black people that have investments are making money. It's growing. Their investments are growing. These types of things are important. And, everybody out here working, Why do you work? Why does anybody do anything?
Wait a minute. Whoa. Stop just a minute. Randy.
To a point. Go ahead.
The thing I think I need to interject there is just go back about an hour on this program, and we were talking to Senator Kelly Anthon. And Kelly was so positive, and he was so optimistic, and he was so absolutely beaming about Idaho's success and its growth and more business coming to the state and just complete optimism. And then you turn on the news, any news channel, CNN, MSNBC, CBS, etc., and they won't even carry stories about the optimistic viewpoint of the stock market and the economy. They'd rather spend all their time denigrating Trump on a possible statement about calling certain countries, which are S-hole countries.
Well, you know who Tommy Lahren is?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
She's been doing these on-the-street interviews.
Yeah.
And they says she has a Fox microphone, and they say, we don't listen to Fox. We listen to CNN. And I say to people, you know, anybody that actually listens to that, they are not getting anything with any objective point of view at all. It's nothing but negative and depressing. And you say to yourself, how is it that anybody could get any kind of objective news out of any of CNN or MSNBC? They can't. And why they would defend it just shows you just how, I guess, I don't know.
Well, look at Obama himself this last weekend. Obama made the statement when he was being interviewed, and he made the statement that said, quote, people that listen and watch to Fox News are on another planet. I don't think I live on another planet. I listen and watch all networks, and then I kind of weigh out what they're doing and what they're saying or what they're not doing and saying. And quite frankly, I'm very offended by this Democrat that I still question whether he should have been president ever anyway, Barack Obama, telling me that I live on a different planet because I weigh out a conservative news story.
Well, you know, as this Uranium One thing goes down and the rest of this Russian collusion with the DNC becomes exposed, and what was going on, they say it's going to be the biggest scandal in history of America. And you know who was involved in this? Was that guy.
Yep,
Mr.
absolutely.
Obama.
Absolutely.
And, you know, he stands to maybe lose in this deal, and we do not know how far that could go. But you see, now he's speaking up against Fox News. Well, it's obvious that he must be concerned.
Well, I think that you are going to see if I think we've got to be real careful here, Randy, because we don't want to put all of our trust into just the Fox News reporters, etc., but the pulling apart of the fabric that's covering up Uranium One, the pulling apart of the fabric that's covering up what Hillary Clinton did with the email servers, the pulling apart of the fabric that's going to show a lot of the money from Russia went to the Clinton Foundation, maybe as cover-up money. It had better make sure that the investigation is very thorough, and they don't weaken, because they can't just leave this thing open just a crack. They've got to open it up and prove beyond a doubt of all the criminality that took place.
Well, let's hope the thing that they start to get into this, and find out just how depraved this is. So between a good economy and exposing these DNC Democrats for the kind of whatever you want to call it,
yeah,
I would think that these midterms may turn out to be, maybe we stay the status quo or we even gain in some cases.
We'll have to wait and see, but I'm going to have quite a segment on that starting this next week. Randy, it's always good to hear from you. Thank you for your call.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, buddy. We're about ready to wrap things up. Boy, oh boy, Wheels, in the last hour and a half, it really got hot in my headsets over here. I don't know what changed, but if you could check that out for me. I want to remind everybody about our major sponsor, and that's, of course, our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Man, they do serve you, too. I mean, when you drive in, they just come out of the building with a high lope and say, may we help you? And don't don't forget, you think we're out of the woods with no more winter? Well, I'll guarantee you that we're not springtime yet, and the wintertime driving demands that you have good traction tires for handling the snow and the ice and the muck and the yuck. Well, they've got the best traction tires, like the Wintercat SST or the Observe GSI number 5. All outstanding in ice and snow. Check it out for your driving at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, along with the best in brake service and front end alignments, shocks and struts, and batteries. Yeah, you know it's going to get cold, real cold, before the winter's up. Make sure you've got a good battery in your vehicle. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, and of course Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland and Burley. Doing the right thing matters, and they do the right thing at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We are going to wrap it up for today, and looking at tomorrow, we've got some very, very interesting people coming on. Dave Beagle from Indianapolis, Kim Kane from Boise talking about suicide prevention, and then at 10:06, the incredible Bulk, Kelton Hatch with the Idaho Fish and Game. All of that tomorrow right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Tune in. 8:06, and remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be.